wondering if your ex, partner, or somebody else in your life is a narcissist, but they don't quite completely fit the bill, given everything you've heard and read about? But there's enough of a there that it makes you question what's going on with them. If so, you might be dealing with a covert narcissist. These are the wolves in sheep's clothing who seem at the surface to be very altruistic and caring. They might even be good listeners. But if you're around them long enough, you start to see another side of them. It's important to be aware of the signs of covert narcissism so that you can navigate potentially harmful or unhealthy relationships and interactions. While diagnosing somebody with a personality disorder does require clinical criteria, there are general traits and patterns that can indicate covert narcissism. So let's explore some of the key signs to look out for. I'm Dr. Jodie Benabe, and I'm a clinical psychologist who specializes in helping people recover from narcissistic abuse. So what are the signs of covert narcissism? The first is poor empathy and disregard for others. Covert narcissists often lack empathy and have a disregard for the feelings and needs of other people. They have that in common with their grandiose counterparts, but they're primarily focused on their own self-importance, and they may not show genuine concern for others. For instance, they may make a joke at your expense and say that they were just joking and that you're just being overly sensitive. And they may almost seem bothered if you approach them with a problem about your relationship or something else, because they are actually bothered. And so they sort of stuff and are brewing under the surface, and you sense it. And so you're walking on eggshells around them. They display subtle behaviors, unlike their overt counterparts, who are more obvious and arrogant. Covert narcissists tend to be less obvious in their behavior. They may use subtle tactics to seek reassurance and validation, such as fishing for compliments, downplaying their accomplishments or achievements, things like that. They might seem incredibly humble. They don't want to be the center of attention, but they secretly do. They're just going about it in a more subtle way to get it. They also engage in blaming and shaming. They do this as a means to maintain a sense of superiority over you or anybody else. And they might subtly put you down, play the victim, or engage in other forms of emotional manipulation to make you feel small and boost their own self-esteem. They do not take genuine accountability at all for anything that they mistakenly do. So they might apologize for something, but it's sort of a Naugahyde apology. It's not real. It feels superficial. There's no depth to it. And they won't generally initiate an apology. They'll sort of wait for you to come to them, and it has to be this glaring wrong that they did in order to even get the apology. They tend to create confusion. These are people who get pleasure from causing confusion. They may manipulate situations, gaslight you, or make you question your own perceptions and second guess yourself. This confusion gives them a sense of power and control in a relationship. And it may not be something that's so obvious, or even something that occurs at the beginning of a relationship. But everything that they do has this sort of underlying intention to confuse. They also engage in procrastination and disregard. So covert narcissists prioritize their own needs, and they disregard the needs of anyone else unless they're going to get something. They may procrastinate, be consistently late, or fail to acknowledge your importance. This behavior really just leaves you feeling unimportant and insignificant. Now, sandwiched in this sometimes is this idea of a love bombing phase, and so that provides some intermittent reinforcement to kind of keep you hooked in the relationship. But there is this sort of sense of procrastination and disregard, or even devaluation that goes on that leaves you sort of questioning things because it just doesn't feel right to you, and you compare it to the beginning of a relationship. They give with a goal. While narcissists in general struggle with genuine generosity, covert narcissists may appear to give, but with an ulterior motive. Their giving behavior is often driven by a desire for praise and recognition, rather than a genuine concern for others. And there is this sense that you better show your appreciation for them. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with a sulky person. You won't quite know what's going on with them because they won't really directly tell you, but you can sense that they're bothered because you didn't have a big enough demonstration for their show of gift giving. There's emotional neglect in these types of relationships. Covert narcissists struggle to build and maintain emotional connections. They may not offer compliments, show little interest in your talents or abilities, and often fail to provide emotional support. So this can be a little misleading because sometimes you might get a little nugget or carrot of a compliment, but it's generally if there's somebody else around. For instance, if one of their coworkers says, "Oh my gosh, you must be so proud. That's so cool what they're doing," or whatever. And they'll be like, yeah, oh gosh, he or she's amazing, and really give you accolades in that sort of context. But on a day-to-day basis, when nobody's around except the two of you, that's not something that generally happens. They just focus on themselves, but it's in a more subtle and sophisticated way. But you find that you're the one doing the emotional heavy lifting in the relationship. And the interesting thing about this is covert narcissists are really great at mimicking behavior. So they might sort of study you at the beginning and understand, say, that you're an empathetic person. They might cry at the beginning and give you some emotional glimpse into their world. And they might be telling you something that's true. For instance, maybe there was abandonment by a parent, infidelity by a parent, something like that, where they get really emotional and tell you this. And you might say, "My gosh, I'm this person so vulnerable, it's incredible." But it's not anything genuine. They're using that fact, that bit of history, to give you something they think you want, to hook you in. But in general, these relationships are pretty superficial. If you think that they're not, it's probably that you're projecting something onto this other person that they really don't genuinely have. So it's important, again, to remember that these signs don't necessarily indicate a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, but recognizing these behaviors can help you identify potentially toxic relationships and protect your own well-being. Remember that self-care is so important. Regardless of what that looks like for you, it has to feel good, it has to nurture and soothe you. Setting healthy boundaries is also a crucial thing to do in a relationship with anyone who displays any kind of narcissistic personality traits, especially covert. If you're still confused or wondering if the person in your life is a covert narcissist, go ahead and try setting some limits with this person and see what happens. It's often the case that we get stuck in somebody else's stuckness, and it's hard to see when you're in the thick of it. Try testing out limits and see what behavior they give you. It's only by sort of testing the limits in relationships that we really know the extent of the limit, so that we can really get more information to inform our decisions. And that can be scary to do, but if you're finding that you're stuck in someone else's stuckness, go ahead and try that. It's also important that you surround yourself with people who are supportive and who really understand what you're going through. And sometimes it may not seem like other people will get it, but there are people out there. And make sure you find a therapist who also gets it. Seek professional help when you need it. If you find that you're not sure if you should get professional help, or maybe you're embarrassed of doing it, think about how you're coping and how maybe some of the things that you used to enjoy kind of have fallen to the wayside, or that you're noticing that this person's behavior is increasing, it's escalating. There are more condescending remarks going on that are making you question, gosh, this person's really changing. I don't know what am I doing here? But you're really feeling maybe backed against the wall to make a decision. Seek support when you need it. You want to really empower yourself by prioritizing your own well-being emotionally, right? Remember your worth. You deserve healthy and fulfilling relationships that won't suck you in and take your joy out of living, right? You don't want to stay stuck in patterns that are unhealthy with somebody else. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks.